our religion, our faith, has to address the environment, has to address the community, has to address issues of poverty. What are some of the things you liked about Chicago?
Oh, the Art Institute.
And one of the things I know that you and I share is Chicago.
This is true.
Really distinct goals. Our primary interest was in campaign finance reform, but we were also interested in election law and in civil union.
And better and cleaner politics in Oregon. Dan, good to have you on Speaking Frankly. That's the thing is, we as human beings live together on this planet Earth.
Right.
We also live together in our societies, in our nations, in our communities. Welcome to Speaking Frankly. Well, here we are. It's summertime. Well, almost summer. And we're beginning to have some very nice weather and beautiful blooms and blossoms on trees and shrubs and flowers. And I have with me today another bloomer, Hank Franzoni.
Oh, well, Frank, thank you.
Well,
thank you for inviting me.
Well, thanks for being
on. In
on.
fact, I can think of something else that's blossoming, too.
Yes.
Your rhetoric.
My rhetoric, all right.
A sure sign of spring, let alone summer.
Well, that's right, that's right. Now, one of the things, Hank, that I've been concerned about are the newspaper stories day after day about this catastrophe that we're in terms of the economy. And also, here we are.
We're running out of water.
Running out of water. I mean, this is getting serious.
Yeah, no, well, they're talking projections that are 40 years out, which means you and I are not going to be around unless we
No, wait a minute.
No, we're going to have to live.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, no, Frank.
No.
Let's not give our ages away. Let's just say that we're somewhere in the middle age.
Yes.
It's a stretch to have us live in 40 years. And I've talked this over with other senior citizens like myself.
Yes.
And I would say that most of them feel the way I do, that we're not going to take the position that the hell with it, we're not going to be here. The fact is, whatever we can do, we've been doing about it in terms of at least dealing with the issue in the way that we individually can.
Well, now you see, one of the big issues here, we've just had graduations from high school, graduations from colleges and universities, and here these new graduates are having a tough time finding jobs.
Oh, I saw a show on the news show the other night. It was really pathetic. I felt really sorry for the first time. There's always been a market that's been up and down for kids, but this year it's a disaster. One of the reasons for it, and that's what this piece on TV explained, the really high-end students, the guys that graduate at the top of the class in Harvard and Yale and all the hotshot schools and stuff like that, they are going to automatically, as of 2 years ago, come out of college, have a $100,000 a year job, which is unbelievable, in banking and finance and investments. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. There's no such industry anymore.
Yes.
Certainly not for hiring summertime kids or anything else. Nobody. Everybody's out. Now, where are they going to go, these kids? Well, medicine, that's a little too tough. You got to go 8 years for medicine. And not only that, you got to go through all these rigorous exams and stuff. Accountant, well, these guys are going for the big bucks. A lot of them are going for the industries, the finance industries and stuff like that, because they have big tuition loans to pay off.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So what I'm leading up to is very simple. There's only one place for these hotshots: law school. And the law schools now are way oversubscribed and way over-enrolled. Okay. And what happens, and I was the chairman of admissions on our alumni, on the Rutgers Law School.
In Rutgers?
Yeah, Board of Trustees for some years. And, all this information used to pass over me and stuff like that. And there were ups and downs and stuff like that. And when we were hot, that is, when everybody wanted to go to Rutgers University, I remember one year we had 5,000 paid applications. That means you keep the check. And 200 people. And that was the
You were only going to admit 200.
200, and that was the top amount at that time we ever admitted. And I used to sit around thinking, what about these other 4,800 guys?
Well, there are
5,000 applied and paid a non-refundable check. And with the point being that when you're hot, you're hot.
Okay.
And right now it must be unbelievable for places like, Rutgers is still a good law school. Harvard, Yale, Stanford, they're riding high, and they can probably raise their tuition. But for the rest of the people, there's only a small amount, relatively speaking, that can be admitted into law schools. And these guys going into finance are going to be filthy rich stockbrokers. Doesn't exist anymore. So from what I can see and what I heard from my colleagues, they're going to law school, which is a wonderful idea, frankly.
Okay, go on and get some more graduate education.
Not only that, there is absolutely nothing to compare with a good law school education, and most of them are good. It opens up such broad vistas to you. It covers every aspect of society. It's not just lawyers talking about trying cases and the rules of procedure and all this stuff. It's really an opening into how things are done in our civilization. But more importantly, when you go to law school, you were handed a set of tools that you can use the rest of your life. And those are thinking tools.
Now let me pick up right on that one. Thinking tools. Who's our present president?
Let's see, George Washington was Obama, and he's a lawyer, and not only that, he also was, like myself, a law professor.
Yes, at the University of Chicago Law School.
Right,
he taught constitutional law. I am so glad that he is now our president.
Well, I mean, it's so wonderful to have a president who understands constitutional law, because constitutional law is kicked around by a lot of these politicians in Congress as if they know what the heck. I taught constitutional law too. Not that that's any big deal, it's just that they've taken and abused the Constitution so much just by talking about it in such a cheap way. The fact is they don't really understand it, and if they do, they use it for their own nefarious political purposes.
And so, thank heavens.
He knows, he can call a spade. And they have lessened, you don't hear as much commentary from the opponents, or whatever you want to call them. And I'm not referring to the Republicans who oppose everything. But on a constitutional basis, they're not going to get very far with him because he knows the stuff.
Now, what are your thoughts in terms of getting some jobs out there in this economy, where this economy has hit the skids? What are some things that we can do?
Here's the way I see it. Of all of the things that Obama has done, and as you and I were talking about earlier, he comes up with a big one every week.
Yes.
Now this week it's a regulation of banks and stuff. The unemployment, he said at the beginning, and he said, in fact, Roosevelt said it back in the Depression. I keep going right back to Roosevelt. They said the same thing early in their administration, and Obama's only in 5 months. Unemployment is going to be the most intractable, the most difficult problem to solve because, and you hear it over and over again from the economists who are interviewed on TV, and the reason for that is because so much has to happen with the credit markets, the finance markets, the revival of companies like GM and Chrysler. Before you can put people back to work, and they all project that they will be the last vestige of a recovery will be when unemployment starts to really drop, and now we have new employment. It's just the way the economy works, and there is nothing you can do about it. But if there's anything you can do about it, but Obama, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm looking at it with a cold eye, has done everything he can, because everything he has been doing is on the top side. Getting banks so they can make loans again, which in turn, where are they going to make loans to? They're going to make loan to business, and business is going to create jobs. It's all a step-down procedure. He's done everything he can in regard to what he can do for unemployment. And unemployment, the only other thing, which is going to take another couple of months to kick in, is this shovel-ready